Hello everyone, it's Sal, Stretford Post. How you all doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. I hope you're doing good. I hope you're doing fine. Thank you guys for joining me this morning, of course, guys, on this beautiful day, of course. Guys, before I start, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to smash a like on the video. Also, guys, please don't forget to put your notifications on as well. All that jazz, of course, guys. And guys, listen. Absolute legends. Thank you for joining me this morning. Of course, guys, let's get into a few bits and bobs in regards to news around Man United. Of course, the World Cup qualifiers has been going on. I just wanted to start by saying congratulations to Iraq for qualifying to the World Cup, guys, for the first time since 1986. Unbelievable, isn't it? Unbelievable. Italy failed to reach the World Cup. That would be the next time they qualify for the World Cup will be 16 years. 16 years, guys, since they qualify for the World Cup. I hope everyone's doing fine. I hope everyone's doing good. Thank you so much, guys. Don't forget to smash a like. Let's get to 50 likes before the end of the show, guys. Let's get into some Manchester United news, shall we? Now, I'm going to start off with the defensive area, of course, because this has been a subject over the last few weeks in regards to Manchester United and are we going to sign a centre-back? It does look likely that Manchester United will be signing a centre-back in the summer, guys. It does look likely that Man United will be looking for another defender. Now, looking at the way Man United are, the situation as it is, obviously we've got Licha Martinez who's injured, and we can't trust Licha Martinez. As much as we love Licha Martinez, we can't trust him, can we? And then we've got, obviously, Matthias de Ligt, who has been injured, and that is a little bit up in the air at the moment. Now, the defender that Manchester United are looking at the moment, and looking at him quite seriously, guys, is a guy I've mentioned on the show before. It is Castello Lukeba. Now, Castello Lukeba is a late Leipzig centre-back, 23 years old. Big issue with Lukeba is his price tag. At the moment, for some reason, in the Bundesliga, players are being extremely overpriced, in my opinion. Now, it is the Bundesliga at the end of the day, and I would go as far as to say that some players in the Bundesliga are more than the Premier League. They actually are getting more value than the Premier League in regards to their expensive. The saturation in regards to the valuation is ridiculous. And Castello Lukeba is no exception. He is 68 million euros, guys, valuation. But Manchester United have not been put up by that, are still very interested in Castello Lukeba, guys. Now, journalist Philip Hinz, who's a respected journalist, reports that RB Leipzig management is willing to let Castello Lukeba leave for no amount lower than his eight. Philip Hinz has said that they would allow the Castello Lukeba to leave. Get my words out. For lower than an 18 million release clause. Now, Lukeba has an 80 million release clause. They are willing to let him go for less than that. Now, the price is around 68 million euros. It's not significantly less, but it's less, guys. But he does have a release clause of 80 million euros, which, guys, let's be honest here. Nobody's going to pay 80 million euros for Castello Lukeba. It's just, guys, people haven't got that sort of money these days. Do you know what I mean? And Manchester United are no exception. As we know, Man United are not going to go out there and spend an astronomical amount of money on a player that, is unproven in, I have to be honest, guys, a major league like the Premier League. I wouldn't class Bundesliga as a major league. I would class it as a league that is run by one team, and that's about it. But basically, adds to that the offers between 65 million and 70 million would be considered. According to some reports, Castello Lukeba would prefer the Premier League, and Manchester United is among contenders to sign him. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, great, fantastic. However, Manchester United have got something small going on at the moment. It's called the midfield. And I think Man United need to fix that midfield before we look at solidifying a defence where we've got Aiden Heaven and they've got Lenny Yoro and we've got Mazraoui, and obviously De Ligt will be back pretty soon as well. So that we have to look at things critically. And we have to look at things based on what we can afford. Can we afford Castello Lukeba? I know we can, guys. I know we can, but it's whether they pay the money or not. That's the thing. I know we can. I know what we can and we can't afford. Man United are getting 100 million from the Champions League. They're going to save money on Rasmus, save money on Rashford, save money on Sancho, save money on Casemiro, obviously. And then you think about Ugarte and Mount and players like that who could be leaving the football club as well. So I do believe that Man United do have the money, but will they spend it? And that is the biggest question. But Castello Lukeba linked to Manchester United again, guys. Would love the signing. I'll be honest with you. He's the one defender, if I'm being totally honest, guys, and totally frank, that I would like at Man United. However, I just don't think Man United have got the money or don't want to spend the money in regards to him. And I would also say, guys, that we can't spend stupid money on a Bundesliga player. I have to say that, guys. Now, obviously, when we're talking about players like Yan Diomande, for example, the left winger, when we're talking about him, we have to look at things critically and objectively and think that, is Yan Diomande worth 100 million? He's not, is he? Is Yan Diomande worth more than Elliot Anderson? Because that's what he's been valued at. He's not, is he? Because at the end of the day, I know they're two different players, but what I'm saying is this. Basically, the point I'm making is that one plays in the Premier League, one plays in the Bundesliga. The Bundesliga is not the Premier League, you know what I mean? So why are these players getting valued at 100 million? I don't know. I really don't. But Castello Lukeba, 68 million. I think if we got him for 50, I'll be happy. I think that is what his price should be, 50 million euros. That's how it should be. That's realistic at the end of the day. The Premier League is a different kettle of fish. We all know that Castello Lukeba will come into Manchester United and it will be completely foreign to him. It will be difficult. It will be hard. It will be physical. And he wouldn't have seen anything like it. That's the difference. You know what I mean? And I believe in Lenny Yoro. I believe if Lenny Yoro and Aiden Heaven were playing in the Bundesliga, they'd be doing incredibly well as well. And this is one thing we have to remember. We can't stifle the development of our young players as well. I will also bring in Kolungi. I would also bring in Fredrickson. These players right here. We cannot stifle their development, guys. We cannot just say, you know what, put them at the back of the queue. We want a shiny new toy. We can't act like that. That's not how we act. Absolutely. Let me know what you guys think anyway about Castello Lukeba being linked to Manchester United again. And like I said a few days ago, that there's no smoke without fire. When we're linked to a player numerous amounts of times, and this sort of news resurfaces every other day, it does add an element of truth to it. It does add a narrative to it, if you know what I mean, that there could be some element of truth to this. I believe there is. I believe Man United are interested in Castello Lukeba. Philip Hines is a very respected guy, and I wouldn't be surprised if RB Leipzig wanted to sell him, and that's what I would say, because RB Leipzig, as we know, are a selling club. And one key stipulation here, one key point, which adds weight to this, is Vivell, Christopher Vivell. Christopher Vivell is very connected to the RB Leipzig group. And there will be a number of players, Diomande, Castello Lukeba, who will be linked to Manchester United because of the Red Bull group. Of course, RB Leipzig, not so much RB Salzburg, but RB Leipzig, for example. But obviously, this is one of the big reasons we bought in Vivell, for his connections, for his powers of persuasion in regards to the Red Bull group. I would say congratulations to the Red Bull group. I would say this. And the reason I will say this is because they are producing some players, guys. They are producing players. They are bringing players off the conveyor belt regularly and consistently, more than Manchester United, to be honest. Absolutely phenomenal. And they've done a fantastic job at Leipzig. Of course, it used to be VfB Leipzig. Now it's Red Bull Leipzig. And they're doing incredibly well. Hope everyone's doing well on the stream, guys. Hope everyone's doing blessed. Welcome to the stream. Hope everyone is good. Of course, guys. Welcome to Ephraim. Good morning, my friend. How you doing, my brother? Thank you for joining me last night. Everyone who joined me on the watch along for Italy against Bosnia was a good game. Good morning, Sam. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Huncho. Good to see you. Good morning, bro. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you again. Tonali and Baleba will be great because Tonali can play 8, Baleba 6. It will be a balanced midfield because Menu is too slow. I don't know, Sam. I don't trust Baleba. I would much prefer Wharton for me. Now, guys, I'm going to get into the realms of the transfer news at the moment, but the next bit of news is Carlos Baleba. Now, Manchester United are not swayed by the performances of Carlos Baleba. Now, make of that what you will. Man United are not discouraged by his performances. Carlos Baleba has been distinctly average for 8 months, right? He's been distinctly average. But the problem is here. This is the key stipulation here. This is the key problem here in regards to Manchester United and Carlos Baleba. Man United admired Carlos Baleba, as we all did. We were all Balebas at the end of last season, of course. We were all Balebas at the end of last season. But Manchester United put their eggs in the Carlos Baleba basket at the end of the summer. They actually met up with Carlos Baleba's entourage in October, the end of October, and they agreed that a deal basically in principle and with the agents and his family that, you know, Manchester United is the place for him. He wants to go to Manchester United, etc. However, since then, Carlos Baleba's performances have been poor. They have been poor. And this is where we have to get in the realms of maturity and critical thinking, right? Why would Baleba be good as a number 6 for Man United? Here's the key question. Why? Please tell me why. Please tell me. Because what he did a year ago, we have to look at that. Now, there are central defensive midfielders all around the world who are performing at the moment, you know, are performing well for their football clubs, who are doing well for the football clubs all around the world, right? And why are we getting Carlos Baleba? Why? And this is what I want to ask the question. Based on a hunch? Based on a hunch. And I've always said it. I said it a long time ago, that Man United will sign Carlos Baleba. Carlos Baleba will be a Manchester United player. Make no bones about that. Make no questions about that, guys. He will be a Manchester United player. He's the one player that I believe will sign for Man United. It doesn't mean it's right, though, does it? Now, I said it at the end of last season. I like the player. I admire the player. He's a fantastic player. But you're only as good as your last good performance at the end of the day. And he has not performed for Manchester United. And Manchester United cannot base things on a hunch. Please explain to me why he will be perfect in that number 6, not just based on a theory, based on a hunch. That's what I want to know. The true reason why Manchester United are so interested in Carlos Baleba, we have to face reality. Reality here bites you hard on the backside, doesn't it? It's because he's easy. It's because he's easy. It's because he wants to go to Manchester United. He's easy. No one else wants him. Bayern Munich have looked at him. PSG have looked at him and are not interested. So why are Manchester United interested? Why are Manchester United basing all this around a hunch? And this is where we have to think. And we have to think, well, there are players around Europe valued at less than 70 million, which Carlos Baleba is going to be valued at, by the way, who would perform better than him. You know, who would perform better than him? There are players out there who would perform better. Angelo Stiller will perform better than him. He's a better player. You know, there are players out there who would do a better job. You know, and this is what I'm talking about. I'm thinking on the lines of Manchester United, not my affiliation with players that I like. And I like Carlos Baleba. You know, you could see from my thumbnails that I like Carlos Baleba. But the thing is that Manchester United are very interested in him, are still interested in him, and would value him at the same level as Tonali. Now, make of that what you will. For me, Tonali is a million times better than Baleba. Million times better than Baleba. But, you know, Man United are valuing him on the same importance level as Carlos Baleba. So that just goes to show you where Man United's mentality is. Man United are looking for easy. They're not looking for what's right. And that's what I would say. Absolutely. Big up, my friend. Hope you do. Look at Rogerio Niakasi. I will do, my friend. Big up, Hunter. Hope you're doing well. Big up, Paul. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Good morning, Sal, and everyone. How are you all? Good to see you, guys. Anderson is overpriced. Let's go for Tonali and Anderson. Leeson, that's why you don't. You're not a scout, Man United. Baleba is the same price as Anderson, more or less, right? It's only going to be 5 to 10 million difference. Anderson is a significantly better player than Baleba. And Mainu is also a significantly better player than Baleba, who played fantastically well yesterday for England. He is. I don't buy this pace business. You know, I don't buy this business of, Mainu's got no pace. Mainu's a fantastic player. Mainu should be playing for England. And what I would say is that we've got to purchase players. If they're going to be 70 million, they've got to be significantly better than what we have already. Baleba's not better than Anderson. Anderson's going to cost around the same money. Anderson's a 10 times better player. How do we work this out? How do we work this out? How do we equate to Baleba and Tonali? They won't complement each other. That's it. Guys, I beg you, in your spare time, when I come live next time, guys, when I come live next time on show, I want you to find me a few good Baleba performances in 2026. Just one, maybe. Just one. Absolutely. Ephraim, agree, Sal. We need side players who are performing. Absolutely. Big up, Geordie. What's going on? Morning, Sal. Did you watch the England match? Kobe and Anderson struggled together last night. I don't think they struggled. No. I think the attack was poor. I think Mainu had a good game. But how can you judge that by one game in a friendly? Friendlies are nothing. You know, they don't mean nothing. I seem to remember Spain losing a couple of friendlies before they won the World Cup. Japan beat Brazil. Who cares? Nobody cares, to be honest with you, at the end of the day. Look, it is just the first game together, their first time they played together. I would like to see it a lot more. I do think that Kobe Mainoo played very well yesterday. I thought Anderson did okay. It wasn't that. It was the fact that we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Japan are an incredibly good team. I would put them in the top 5 at the moment. They're incredibly underrated as well. I've said this for years. I did say for years that the next World Cup champions, if it's going to be a different continent, it will be from the continent of Asia, and it'll probably be Japan or South Korea. They are very good, but I felt that they did well. But I would not judge players on a friendly. They never played together. You got to give them a few games together. You can't just say putting them in a team and that's it. There you go, perform. No, they need to play together more often. Anderson is a generational, and so is Kobe Mainoo. You know what I mean? In my opinion. LT. Big up, Sal. Did Mainoo and Anderson play together yesterday? And if so, what did you think of their performance as their dress rehearsal for next season? I wouldn't judge it, LT. I felt that Mainoo did well yesterday. Mainoo looked solid. Mainoo was passing the ball well between the lines, done very well, and so did Anderson. Unfortunately, there were a few bad performances in the team, i.e. Foden was very poor, in my opinion. There are a couple of players that I don't think should be going to the World Cup. Foden has been poor for a long time. I don't know what's gone on with Foden. He has really dropped off, to be honest with you, in regards to his football performances and things like that. I would say that, Anderson and Mainoo did as well, considering the circumstances. It is a pre-season friendly at the end of the day. And that's one thing we have to remember as well. And we all have to remember this, and we all have to put football in context. We're smart people here. And we have to put things in context that, in regards to friendlies, right? These players are playing for Champions League, for league titles, for whatever, trophies, whatever they're playing for. This is a very critical stage of the season for these players. And then they have to go, well, Anderson's fighting relegation with Nottingham Forest. And then they have to go to this meaningless friendly and expect it to perform. You know what I mean? It does really make me laugh, doesn't it? Big up, David. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Davian, sorry. Good to see you, Davian Tembo. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. Morning, Sal, in the community. Wilcott's wanted to lap. Barada pushed for Amarim signing. Those two are inconsistent. Baleba is a star that's not shining. I know with capital letters. Baleba is a star with not shining. So Italy, no, with capital letters. I don't know what you mean by that. But stars are built by performances. Stars, what I would say about stars at football clubs, great players play at crap football clubs and they do well. Anderson, for example, Wharton, for example, players who play for lower clubs, despite what you think, what your hunch is based, because this is what it is, right? People are basing Carlos Baleba on a hunch, isn't it? It's a hunch. It's inshallah, he's going to be a good player. So Baleba's an inshallah player, basically, right? And this is what people are saying about Baleba. He's an inshallah. He's going to be a good player. So what? I might be a good player one day. Never know. You know what I mean? We want to know who is a good player right now, who's consistently a good player as well. And I think that is what's the most important thing. And also, I would also say, if we're going to stifle the development of Kobe Mainoo, make it a good player. Make it a player that's performing. Make it a player who's actually better than Kobe Mainoo, because Carlos Baleba is not better than Kobe Mainoo. I will tell you that right now. Absolutely. They got played together on an average Japan team, though Kobe was blown. Japan haven't lost in 5 games, Geordie. I would say. Guys, I thought they were good. You got to analyze game context, not just I kick football in goal net. No disrespect. They played well, in good considering the context. Japan haven't lost in 5 games. Poor Japan side. No, they're very good Japan side. Probably the best Japan side of all time. England haven't lost that was the first time England have lost in like a few games, isn't it? As well. So, yeah, I wouldn't read too much into it. James Garner and Gomez, and they also beat Scotland at the weekend, Japan, by the way. James Garner and Gomez from Wolves, those two would die for the badge if we signed them. So would I, mate. But James Garner, for me, is not good enough for Man United. We need outstanding. James Garner's not outstanding. He's a good player. That's it. Man United need outstanding players. If we are going to go to that next level, we need to look at better than Casemiro. Is James Garner better than Casemiro? Is he better than Mainoo? No, for me. And I would say that, look, if we're going to replace those players in that midfield, we need to make sure they're good down better than the players that we have right now. Do you know what I mean? Benny, good morning. How you doing? Is it true that Sancho is back next season? No, his contract runs out, mate. He's out on a free transfer, mate. We're not extending this year extension on his contract. LJ, here is an interesting stat regarding Baleba. Brighton have lost all the games that Baleba started, and that's been subbed for most, if not all of them. And they won or draw all those who didn't start. There you go, guys. Is there no smoke without fire? There's an absolute mic drop from LT there. So if he's this basically great player, this good player, right? Let's say that Carlos Baleba is this fantastic player, right? Why is it that Brighton keep losing every time he plays? You know, do we really want that at Man United? We have to look at this, guys. Do we really want this at Man United? Look, at the end of the day, if he signs for Man United, we'll be supporting him, you know, absolutely tenfold. You know what we do on this channel. But at the end of the day, we have to look at this critically, and we can't look at this based on, I liked him a year ago and I still liked him and I'm not going to change my mind. You know what I mean? Because I'm a big fan. We're not like that on this channel, of course. We can't be like that. We have to look at things critically, and we have to look at things realistically, right? Carlos Baleba is not 25 million, right? He's 70 million, right? What can 70 million get you? It can get you Elliot Anderson. It can get you Adam Wharton, one of those players. For starters, it can definitely get you Angelo Stiller. You know, it can definitely get you that. Or if you want to be play devil's advocate even more, it can get you Keith Schmidt and get you Syed Omala or Ayub Biordi. Those three all together for 70 million. You can. And this is what I'm talking about. We have to be very, critical. Big up, Sal. Big up, Gregory. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Didn't say poor average. I didn't care who they're beating. I'm bothered about England, not Scotland. They're shit. Never been beat by an Asian nation. Never been beat by an African team until Tuchel. Tuchel could be a problem, Geordie. I wouldn't disagree with that. I've never rated Tuchel as highly as people rate him. However, he's done relatively well for England. And let's wait until the tournament. I don't base things on friendlies, mate. I've seen England defeat big teams 5 and 6, and those teams have gone on to win. I remember England beating Spain 3-0, and Spain went on to win the World Cup. You know, at the end of the day, I just don't think we can base anything on meaningless friendlies. I don't. I think the nitty-gritty is when it starts in the World Cup. That's when it all happens. My biggest concern for England is that who replaces Harry Kane? When Harry Kane don't play, England don't score. And that's a big concern for me. I don't like Solanke. I think if you're going to bring in a striker, you should bring in Danny Welbeck for me. He's the only English player that I see scoring goals. That's it at the moment. And apart from Harry Kane, of course. When Harry Kane don't play, England have got a problem. And we have to look at this, guys. What's happening with strikers? I spoke about the striker situation yesterday in regards to Italy. Italy have gone from Gianfranco Zola, Roberto Baggio, Christian Vieri, Ravanelli, Alessandro Del Piero, Filippo Inzaghi to Moise Kean and Retegui. That's how strikers have regressed in football. That's how football has regressed. And England haven't got any strikers either. When you're looking at the striker pool of strikers in England, who's there to take Harry Kane's place? Who's there? I would say nobody. We're playing Phil Foden as a false number 9. You know what I mean? And that for alone is like, what? And definitely England are not going to score. Definitely they're not going to score. Gregory, Baleba is not good enough to be a Manchester United player. With Manchester United, we need to become. Gregory, look, I'm not saying that he won't become the player that we all hope he becomes. I don't think right now Man United are in a position to go for prospect players, because that's exactly what Baleba is. We hope he's a good player. We hope he becomes a good player. And look, at the end of the day, I was so excited when we were about to sign Baleba last season. I was. But this season, we need to look at it. And we maybe need to look at it like we dodged a bullet. You know? Look, I'm saying, look, obviously a lot of people are saying, well, he wanted to go to Man United. You know, his confidence is low. He wanted to go to Man United, blah, 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 blah. Then say to Brighton, I want to leave Brighton. I want to go to Man United. Announce it. Say, I want to go to Man United. But then you look at it and you think, well, you know, if his head is turned by Manchester United in 2 years' time, if he plays well for Manchester United, would his head be turned for Real Madrid if they come call him? And that's what we have to look at. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to look at this kind of thing. You have to look at it and think that how comes he's not performing well for his club? That's the club that pay your wages, mate. You know what I mean? You know, you cannot change the spots on the leopard. Like, if he goes to Man United, he's going to have the same attitude. Look at Garnacho at Chelsea. Look at him. You know, we all knew what Garnacho was. But Chelsea signed him based on a hunch. He's going to be a good player. He's going to come into our team. He's going to be a new player. Blah, 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 blah. What happened to Garnacho? Exactly that, isn't it? You can't base things on a hunch. You can't base things on maybe. As I said, inshallah, he's going to be a good player. I mean, at the end of the day. Now, I want to talk about Tonali briefly, guys. Of course, Tonali is heavily linked with Manchester United. Big boost in regards to the transfer of Tonali to Manchester United is that they're not in the World Cup, Italy, by the way, which paves the way for Manchester United to conduct talks with Tonali at the end of the season. He's not going to the World Cup, so hopefully Manchester United could speed up that deal now that he's not going to the World Cup. Of course, many players who are going to the World Cup, including Anderson, have been speaking about concentrating on the World Cup. That's what they've been speaking about and not concentrating on signing for another football club. Tonali could be speaking to Manchester United as soon as May in regards to a move to Manchester United, which will happen hopefully before the World Cup, of course, guys. But in principle, Man United can't do a deal until the fiscal year is over. They can't do an official deal until the fiscal year is over. I think that is like July, if I'm not wrong, guys. So Man United can agree a deal in principle. This is important. Man United can agree a deal in principle verbally, just like they've done with other players in the past. They can agree a deal in principle verbally so that by the end of the World Cup, when the fiscal year starts, Manchester United can quickly sign Tonali, and that's one in the bank straight away. It's very important that Manchester United start conducting talks, start getting the groundwork done, start getting verbal and agreements in principle done. It doesn't have to be official. It doesn't have to be pen to paper. Right? What it can be is a verbal agreement with the agents, with the player. I want to go to Man United, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we'll sign you in July. See you in July. That's all it could be. Do you know what I mean? Nobody needs to know. But the fact that Italy are not in the World Cup has kind of sped up this deal. And don't be surprised if Man United conduct talks with Tonali officially as soon as the fiscal year starts, and it will be done quickly. We hope so, because Man United would have already agreed a verbal agreement. Now, Tonali's not without his interests. He is also interested in by a number of other football clubs around Europe. So Man United do have to act swiftly and quickly. The biggest question mark around the Tonali deal, which I bring in, I don't like to bring in negative, but there always has to be, and you have to look at things from all angles. The biggest question mark about the Tonali deal is the fee. Newcastle will be holding out for a massive fee. They'll be holding out for the 70, 75, 80, 85, in particular if there's a bidding war in regards to Tonali. So that is the biggest stumbling block here. That's the biggest stumbling block. However, it does seem like Manchester United feel confident that they're going to sign Tonali. It's in the air. I did speak about Tonali about 6 months ago, first on Stretford Post, and people were laughing at me, by the way, that time. And here we go. Lo and behold, we're talking about Tonali. Tonali has a clause in his contract which allows him to move to a Champions League team. So Man United have got an advantage. However, there are other teams out there who are in the Champions League who are interested in Tonali as well. But I do believe Man United are favourites to sign Tonali. And the fact that he's not in the World Cup does double down on the narrative that Man United can get some kind of agreement in place, whether it's a verbal, whether it's a deal in principle. We'll have to wait and see, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me have a look. Big up 17 likes, guys. Guys, remember 50 likes minimum on Breaking Dawn. We need to get to 50 likes. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. Of course, and thank you for your support. Gregory, acquire Anderson or Tonali along with both Wharton and Stiller for the midfield. Any one of those four, Gregory, would be absolutely fantastic. Any one of those four players for me would be game changers for Man United. I really do think that. And these are players, Anderson, Tonali, Wharton and Stiller, that are performing and are good players, very good players. I mean, guys, look, I'm looking at players who are available, and I'm looking at players who can improve Man United. There's not many, believe it or not. Casemiro is a generational CDM that we're going to lose in the summer. Now, we have to bring in someone who's just as effective, if not more effective than Casemiro. Casemiro is unbelievable, right? If you saw his quotes as well, Casemiro loves Manchester United, right? And I love Casemiro, to be honest with you. And we have to find someone on par or better than Casemiro, at the end of the day. And Casemiro, the great thing about Casemiro is that Casemiro, he scores goals, he helps the team, and we don't need players who just get the ball and run a couple of yards and pass it. We need players that can actually make a difference in that football team. Now, Angelo Stiller, I liken him to Tony Cruz. I think his passing range, he can pass between the lines, he can score a goal, he can play an attacking formation, he can play a defensive formation. The guy's an absolute brilliant player. Anderson, we all know about Anderson, absolutely. How's it going, Alex? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you're blessed, of course. First season, Baleba, he had everyone raving about him. Nah, he's not good enough. He's got the quality. He's definitely there. So did Evan Ferguson, Geordie. So did Evan Ferguson. Consistency is the most important thing on great players. There are some players who don't hit form again. There are some players that lose their form and that's it. It's over. I've seen it numerous amounts of times. Evan Ferguson was deemed the new Wayne Rooney at Brighton at one stage. Did you know that? And didn't play again. And that's it. And is on loan at Roma right now. This is what we're talking about. You can't base things on, he's got the quality. Here's a hunch because he's my favorite player. You can't do that. Do you know what I mean? We have to look at it based on Manchester United, not Baleba United. We have to look at Manchester United. For me, he's not performing for Brighton. For me, he's not performed for 9 months. That is a big red flag, right? 9 months. It's not 9 weeks. It's not 9 days. It's not 9 weeks. It's not even 9 bloody months. You know what I mean? It's more than that. He's not performed for Brighton. And let me tell you something about Brighton. It's relatively easy to perform for Brighton because Brighton ain't got no expectations. Pressure is not on at Brighton. There's nothing there to be worried about at Brighton. They don't go for titles. They don't go for leagues. They're just there. And players like Baleba should shine at Brighton because there's no pressure. And that's what I would say. Kofi, there's an other side of the probability of Baleba not hitting back his form. He could be the mediocre for the rest of his life, like Renato Sanchez's chances, only showing glimpses of what he can have been. Exactly, Kofi. Ain't we seen players like? Do you remember Bohan, who played for Barcelona, and everyone was raving at Bohan and Bojan, and he ended up signing for Middlesbrough and teams and players like that. People were saying that Bojan is the next Lionel Messi and things like that. This is exactly what we're talking about. You cannot perform for a few months and say that you've made it. Maybe you've been found out. Maybe your game is simple. Maybe players know how you play. They know what you can do. They know your weaknesses. Maybe you need to look at that, and that's exactly what it is. I'm not saying he will. I'm not on here with the oracle of football with a crystal ball telling everyone this is what's going to happen with Carlos Baleba. However, we have to notice the red flags whilst the red flags are there. You can't just base your theory on Carlos Baleba that he's going to be a good player. I've got a hunch. You can't do that. This is not Donald Trump FC. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we don't base things on a hunch. This is Manchester United. We have to basically make sure that when we spend 70 million on a player, this player is performing consistently, right? For a couple of years, like Anderson, like Wharton, like Stiller, like Amadou Onana, right? This player, like Ayabayol, these players are performing consistently for their football clubs, right? People don't underestimate. If you go into a football club on a bad vibe, you're not playing well. It's very difficult. Let me tell you that. It's very difficult. And we don't want to be here in 3 months, right, into the season. And we'd be like, Baleba again. Look at him giving away the ball in the midfield. Look at him. Oh, God, we spent how much on him? We don't want to be like that, because I want to ask someone the question. I want my CDM to assist. I want him to score the odd goal like Casemiro does. I want him to score the odd goal. I want him to pass between the lines. I want him to be a creative force as well, not just a defensive force. Can you guarantee he's going to give us that? Can you guarantee that? Do you know what I mean? Alex, big up Kofi. Alex, big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. It's good to see you. But it is obviously, if United seed, I'll add in the 4 midfielders, then add Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez, again, another one, Gregor, who's performed consistently for his football club. Right? I know that Wolves are being relegated, but you can see how good Joe Gomez is. You can see his performances, just like you saw the performances of Cunha and in Bremer at Brentford when he was playing for Brentford. You can see the performances. You can see how good they are in a rubbish team. Do you know what I mean? This is what I'm talking about. And Bremer scored 20 goals for Brentford. Joao Gomez in a very, very poor, one of the poorest Premier League teams in history, is shining at Wolves. You know what I mean? And this is what I'm talking about. All these United channels are saying it's going to cost too much. What I think is nonsense. We're Man United. We're Man United. Yeah. Who's too much? Baleba is too much money, though, mate. Is it your money? Baleba is too much money. It's not about we can afford him. It's about what his valuation is, mate. We don't sign Baleba because you like him. Let's spend 70 million on him because I've got a fetish for Baleba. You know what I mean? It doesn't work like that, mate. Man United may have the money. Man United may have more than money. And they do have the money. I know exactly how much money Man United have got, right? But doesn't mean that you go out there and spend 70 million on a player that's not worth 70 million. If I said to you right now, we can buy Eric Dyer for 60 million, would you go and buy Eric Dyer for 60 million? Why not? You know, why not? He's some people's favorite player. We should sign him. 60 million. Let's go for it. You know what I mean? Why not? But it's your opinion, Geordie. One day he might become a great player. And I say, fair play, Geordie. You were right. Well done, mate. But at the end of the day, he's not worth 70 million as we speak. He's not worth that. He's worth half that, if that. You know, and that's what we have to look at. We've got the money. It's not about that. I mean, I've owned a business for 20 years, right? I would never look at Baleba right now. I wouldn't. Business-wise, doesn't make sense. It doesn't. It doesn't make sense. For Manchester United, I supported Man United 40 years, probably before you were born, my friend, right? I've seen a lot of good players, a lot of good midfielders, a lot of poor ones. You know, I've seen. And, you know, I would say that we have to learn that you don't just bring in a player because they're easy. You bring in a player because they're good and they will improve Manchester United, you know. But having a lot of our show called signings have been verbal agreements have fallen through. We'll have to wait and see, mate. Gregory, Newcastle will try and have patience with this summer. Yeah, look, Newcastle United won't want to sell Tonali on the cheap again. You know, they're going to dig their heels in. Obviously, Newcastle United have got this thing with Man United. They want to create this fake rivalry. I don't know why these barcode merchants, they want to create this fake rivalry with Man United for some reason. We're not their rivals. They haven't been our rivals since 1996. They won the League Cup. So what? Wigan won the FA Cup. Who cares? Nobody cares about one trophy in 100 years. Doesn't make you better. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, a clock is right twice a day. At the end of the day, that's what I would say about that. However, I would say this, guys, there is a little bit of news circulating about Newcastle United and Newcastle possibly signing a Manchester United player. That player is Ugarte. Newcastle United. Look out for this one, guys. Newcastle are looking at Ugarte at the moment. That's very important. And Newcastle may make an approach for Ugarte. Could Man United do a deal with Tonali? You know, and Ugarte. Who knows, guys? That could be a thing. A deal plus cash. It could happen, guys. LT, remember where you heard it first, by the way. The report that Anderson is first choice, Tonali second choice, and Wharton first choice fill me with more hope than Baleba reports. If those are true, then I think they'll sign one and then a second cheap. But look, you know, we spoke about it the other day, LT, you know, about bringing in a player like Anderson and Wharton and Stiller and these type of players, and then bringing in Said Omala and Ayo Bayordi, Lamine Kamara, Lucien Agume. By the way, Lamine Kamara and Lucien Agume are performing for their football clubs and are doing better than Baleba. So what I would say is that Lucien Agume and Lamine Kamara, these sort of players you can bring in for the squad as well. And this is what we have to remember, you know. Man United's squad needs to be filled. And these players we can get on the cheap, and they're talented and they're performing. And later down the line, they will be worth a lot of money, in my opinion, guys. Absolutely. Now, what I would say, again, I want to move on to the midfield position. I want to move on to Adam Wharton. Now, apparently, obviously, I spoke many months ago about Adam Wharton. People were saying that he's going to leave in January. I said that he's already made a verbal agreement with Crystal Palace to leave at the end of the season. Adam Wharton will leave Crystal Palace at the end of the season. There's already an agreement there. You will see he will leave at the end of the season. There was rumours about Real Madrid going after Adam Wharton. Real Madrid are very interested in Adam Wharton. They're interested in the midfield position. They want to fill up that midfield position. However, that's cooled a little bit. Now, Man United are ready to pounce on Adam Wharton and believe they can sign Adam Wharton for as little as 50 million euros, guys. So this is a kind of boost for Manchester United looking at a midfield position. Now, Adam Wharton is not my number one choice. I do believe Adam Wharton's game is a little bit limited. I think Anderson is a little bit better. And I think that Adam Wharton will be like the third or fourth choice for me. It wouldn't be the main choice for me. I like Adam Wharton. I think he's solid. However, I don't think he's the sort of player. He has never scored a goal for Crystal Palace, by the way. I don't think he's the sort of player to take Man United to the promised land and dominate that midfield like we need. I think Anderson can. I think Stiller can. I think these kind of players can. But we're going to have to wait and see, guys, because at the end of the day, if Wharton is valued at 50 million, this is only going to attract Ineos and the Glazers, isn't it? This is the one that is going to attract them. Oh, look at him. You know, it's 50 million. Why don't we get him instead of Anderson? And this is the sort of thing that Ineos think. This is how they think. And I don't think we should be thinking on the realms of that. It's exactly, I'm not going to flip-flop from it in regards to Carlos Baleba. We shouldn't be getting what's easier. We should be getting what's the best, you know, not what's easier. And that's what I would say about that. Do you know what I mean? We should be looking at things that are going to improve Man United, players that are going to improve Man United. How are we going to improve Man United? How are we going to get Man United from third to second to first? That should be the mentality right now. Third to second to third and first. And I would say that to do that, you're going to have to bring in the players that are good enough. You will know, you get the feeling. You get the feeling when you think about football, when you think about transfers, you know who's going to be a good player. You know Tonali is going to come into Man United and kill it. You know that Anderson's going to come into Man United and absolutely be an absolute generational. You know that. You know, playing alongside Mainu as well, having Mainu coming in with Anderson, with Tonali, you know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be a massive upgrade. And the same goes with Stiller as well, and Amadou Onana, and players like that who are linked to Manchester United. You know that this is going to be a good midfield. You know that's what's going to happen. And of course, we're only talking about the midfield here at the moment. I've spoken about, obviously, Castello Lukeba, but we're only talking about the midfield here at the moment, guys. You know, we're not talking about, you know, the fullbacks. We got to talk about the fullbacks. We've got to say, we got to play some fullbacks. We've got to get back up for striker. We've got to do this. So much work needs doing at Manchester United. Now, speaking of a backup striker, guys, I want to mention this one because obviously I heard the news over here in Italy over the last 24 hours. Manchester United are still interested in Lewandowski. Now, guys, if it was 10 years ago, I would have said, yes, Lewandowski, great. Manchester United could possibly get Lewandowski on a free transfer. And this has excited Manchester United. Now, Lewandowski, I think he's 36, something like that. He's way past it, right? I understand that bringing him in to nurture Sesko and that will be fantastic. But we all know that Lewandowski's wages will be astronomical. They will be astronomical. His wages will be huge, you know, and obviously that will affect our PSR and FFP going forward. We can't do that. We can't risk that, in my opinion. So I think this news is crazy. This news is ridiculous. If Man United want to bring in a striker that is at least got a little bit of a ceiling left, you know, not way past it and looking for a last big payday. We need to look at something. This is what I'm talking about being smart. I liked Lewandowski many years ago, but Lewandowski for me now is finished. And I don't think Man United should be making a move. But that was a bit of news that was circulating around Man United, of course, over the last 24 hours. John, big up John. What's going on, John? Good to see you, John O'Connell. Sal, did you see Bruno's 2 assists last night for Portugal? Back here when we all know that Bruno is a generational player. As a number 10, he's one of the best players in the world, if not the best player in the world, in my opinion, in regards to that position. We all know how good Bruno is. It's no surprise to me, my friend. He's the king assister. He assists like nothing. He does things you don't even expect. He's an unbelievable player, and he's 31 years old. And you know what? He will go down as one of Man United's greats, and absolutely well deserved. Unfortunately, been playing in a time where Man United are not good, and obviously that pollutes a lot of things. Of course, I don't think he was ever a number 8. I think when we were playing him, a number 8 was absolutely criminal. But I do believe he's an absolutely phenomenal at number 10. And yeah, we're going to miss him when he's gone. I do think Man United should start planning for the future. I do think that Man United should start looking at the replacement for Bruno. And speaking of Bruno, there is interest in Bruno from various football clubs around at the moment. There are teams trying to entice Bruno away from Manchester United as we speak, guys. There are teams who want to sign Bruno, you know, and we're going to have to be very, very careful here because at the end of the day, Bruno, there is rumours that Bruno's still a little bit disillusioned by what happened last year. Do you remember when we were trying to sell it for 100 million? He was not happy about that. Now, Manchester United are trying to finalise a new deal for Bruno. Basically, will be his last deal. Guys, and they want a new deal for Bruno. They want him to sign a new deal, but Bruno is undecided at the moment. That would bring Bruno, probably be a 3-year contract. That bring Bruno to 34, wasn't it? 34, 35 years old, if I'm not wrong, to try and fend off wannabe transfers, wannabe football clubs who want Bruno Fernandes. There's also talk about Bayern Munich as prospect for Bruno Fernandes as a signing. I don't think we should lose Bruno. I think Bruno needs to retire at Man United, and that's it. In my opinion, I think needs to retire at Man United, and we'll go down, probably be a coach at Man United as well, to be honest with you. He probably will going forward. Absolutely. But very, very important player for Man United at the moment, and Portugal. Morning, Robert. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. I don't think Baleba has a strong enough character for us. I agree with Robert here. It's character building, isn't it? It's all about character. It's not just about what you do on the football pitch. It's about up here, this old chestnut up here. It's about that, isn't it, at the end of the day? Continuing to pay 350 a week on an aging midfielder in Casemiro is a bridge too far. He's going at the end of the season. Did you see his message to the fans? Absolutely lovely message. Really respected him for that. Said he'll be a Manchester United supporter for the rest of his life. Guys, he said that his wife was crying when the crowd was singing one more year. I like these sort of things. I'm sorry, but call me softy, call me an old softy. I like these sort of things. I love Casemiro. I like him because I generally believe Casemiro's a millionaire, guys, right? But Casemiro, he understands Man United. He really does. I think he's one of the few players that understands what it means to play for Manchester United, is Casemiro. And I've got so much respect for him. I really have. Absolutely. Casemiro, everyone was saying he's done after he made a mistake. Everyone was saying, not everyone, mate. You wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that on here. Was saying that get him out of my club. Now his thing is sliced bread. Look, I certainly weren't saying that. I understand Casemiro's valuation. If anyone finds a clip of me saying that he's finished, well, please show me. I think he isn't a player that you can play 90 minutes with. He's a 60-minute player. Guys, not 60 seconds, 60 minutes. He is a player. There is a reactionary side, Geordie, my friend. There's a reactionary side to the fan base. They had it with Patrick Dorgu. Now, I always said when Patrick Dorgu, when I announced Patrick Dorgu, before anyone was mentioning, by the way, when I announced Patrick Dorgu about a couple of years ago, I said that Patrick Dorgu is going to be the next big left back, left winger in the world, right? And when he signed for Man United, people were telling me, Sal, I thought you said that Patrick Dorgu is going to be the left back in the world because of a couple of performances, because of a couple of misplaced passes, right? Lo and behold, he started, apart from the injury, he started to become good, didn't he? He started to get good. Now, I'm not the oracle of football. I'm not some smug guy. I'm right, you're wrong. It's all about Manchester United for me. I would rather be wrong 1,000 times and Man United be successful than me be right 1,000 times and Man United not be successful. I would rather that. But I called it. But this is the same reactionary attitude. Casemiro has had bad performances for Man United. That's an absolute fact. But that's life. You get good days, you get bad days. But you never throw someone under the bus. You never say, well, he's got to go, he's finished. We don't do that at Man United. I seem to remember players who became legends at Man United struggling at the club, for many, many weeks, underperforming. Andy Cole not scoring goals. Rooney went on a barren spell. Rooney once went months without scoring a goal for Man United on open play. And this is what we're talking about, but you don't throw him under the bus. This is the difference, isn't it? This is the difference between a reactionary fan and a fan who's level-headed and don't just jump at every single thing, And this is why I analyze transfers exactly the same. I call it as it is. I call it as it, even if I'm proven wrong. I was a big Garnacho fan. But I called it as it is. I said, Garnacho's not developed into the way I thought he was going to develop. And I said that, and I was a big Garnacho fan, massive Garnacho fan. And there you go, call it as it is. But throw him under the bus, a legend he is, Casemiro. I don't rate Wharton for United. John O'Connor, I don't think many people do, but I think he's a good player. I don't think he's an elite player. I think he's a good player. I think he's an upgrade, definitely, kind of. As a number 6, but he's not an upgrade to Casemiro. He's not an upgrade to Casemiro. I think Man United and Wharton, it would be a steady signing, a good signing. He will be a good player. However, I've always said it, guys. I like my CDMs to have more strings to their bow. I like them to have more about them. Look at Casemiro, for example, like Geordie was saying. Casemiro can get you a goal. Right? He can get you a goal when you're struggling. Look at Leo last week. He can get you a goal when you're struggling. He can make the difference. You know, that's Casemiro. Wharton hasn't even scored a goal for Crystal Palace. He hasn't even scored a goal. And we need players not only can defend, not only can pass, but can help. Roy Keane used to score 5 to 10 goals a season. 5 to 10 goals a season. And he would always contribute from the CDM position. Absolutely. Absolutely. Even Evan Ferguson doesn't compare to Baleba. Yes, he does. They're comparing him to Wayne Rooney. It's pretty high because his team said that it's clear he when you watch him, so how much Evan compared to how much Brighton wanted for Baleba. Can't even compare. He can compare. He was rated as high as Evan Ferguson. But the fact is, Evan Ferguson was playing better than Baleba when he went to Roma on loan. That's it, and there you go. Bottom line is, Geordie, I know you like Baleba, and I respect that. But bottom line is, mate, he's not playing well for 9 months, mate. That is a red flag. You have to look at it. Sometimes you just have to say, well, mentally wise, he's not there. Man United need mentality monsters. We don't need soft little pillows who watch Barney the dinosaur every night. We need absolute monsters. We need serial winners. We need players that don't get fazed by anything, even if they're linked to another football club. They're not going to go, oh, I want to go to Man United, cry about it for 7 months, but don't have the cojones to tell Brighton that you want to leave. I'm not interested in Baleba no more. I'll be honest with you. I'm not interested. Play, perform. It's March. Start performing. It's April. April the 1st, guys. April Fool's Day. April Fool's Day. Go on. Show me that I'm a fool. For the next month and a half, perform for your club, Brighton. Show me something. Show me something. Show me a tackle. Show me something. At the moment, you could have had me in that midfield, and I probably would have had a better highlight reel than Baleba this season. Absolutely. He played for Stoke. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with playing for Stoke. John O'Gara, Wharton is a central midfielder like Kobe Manu Anderson and Tonali play Casemiro's position in the midfield. Wharton can play the number 6, Gregory, as well. He can play the number 6 as well. He can play that position. There's one thing I would say about modern day football, Gregory, is that you don't get the traditional number 6s anymore. There's many players out there who play the number 6 and number 8, especially the midfield position. They play the number 6 and the number 8. There's no traditional number 6 anymore. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. David, big up, my friend. Big up, David Sumner. Good to see you. Where are Ineos getting all this money from? Man United, mate. Man United make money. Man United make money organically. Man United sell shirts. Man United sell season tickets the way it is. Guys, it's a lot. It's not easier to play for Brighton. Lace up your boots. Let's see how easy it is. You will be bought on. Mate, look, I understand, Geordie, that you've been mic dropped today. But what I would say is that I'm not a professional footballer. I'm in my 40s. You know what I mean? I don't play football, but I would go out there and I would play my heart out for the badge. Right? That's one thing I would do, which I can't say for Baleba. And that's exactly what I would do, mate. So just because you want to add weight to your narrative on regards to Baleba doesn't mean you come out with these hypothetical scenarios that just make you look bitter. What you have to do, my friend, is when you're debating, we have to speak on facts. I don't have any agenda against Carlos Baleba, my friend. Nothing. It doesn't bother me. He plays for Brighton. Not bother me. Comes to Man United performance, well done. But if it's going to affect my football club, just because you're knocking one out to Baleba doesn't mean that I'm going to knock one out too. Because at the end of the day, this is not a love fest. This is Manchester United Football Club. I don't base Manchester United Football Club on a hunch. People died for this football club. I don't base it on, he might become a good player one day, maybe. I don't do that, right? This is not This is not Stretford Baleba. This is Stretford Post. We call football as it is. We don't call football based on what you think is going to happen, inshallah. And that's what it is at the end of the day. And we have to hold that. So that's the end of it, Geordie. You're getting a little bit irritated. I understand that. You're getting all fidgety. You're getting all sweaty. Don't worry about it, mate. Wharton is overhyped. Could be John O'Connor. I don't know until he signs for Man United. So is James Garner, mate. James Garner's overhyped too. For me, he's a good player, but he's not better than what we have. And that's the thing, And this is exactly what I'm saying. I'll say exactly the same thing. Man United need outstanding. Man United don't need okay, good. Man United need outstanding players in that midfield to replace Casemiro, who's leaps ahead of Ghana, leaps ahead of Baleba, right? So we need players on that level. We need players who are performing for the football club, guys. You know, there's a reason that I could sit here and talk about all the players in the world, midfielders, defenders, strikers, right? And analyze them because I watch football. I don't just watch based on an agenda, or I don't watch based on I like that player more than anyone else. So I'm going to try and watch that player again and again, trying to justify why he should sign for Man United. There have been many players that could have signed for Man United that didn't sign for Man United that ended up not being good enough. You know, this is why we have to be very careful and I would call it mature. You know, you have to be mature here, guys, you know, at the end of the day. And as I said, you know, it's not about love fests and knocking one out to players because you like that player more than anyone else. And, you know, he's the first player on your list ahead of Tonali, Stiller, Wharton, Anderson, you know, Lucien Agume, Lamine Kamara, Stiller, you know, Amadou Onana. You know, there's many players. I watched the AFCON this year, and I saw many great players who would be cheaper, who would be better, in my opinion. Absolutely. Yeah, but he was deemed the next Messi, mate. It's not quite Messi at Stoke, is it? Next season, we're ready to go players and not risks our prospects. If we plan to compare next season, we have to prospects in the squad. For me, Baleba represents a risk we can't afford to take. Absolutely. That is the mature comment. It's a risk that we cannot afford to take. Because Baleba, right, let me just tell you this right now, would be taking up a position in our midfield, transfers wise. So he will be one of the transfers. That will be it, off the list, crossed. We got one, right? We can't take that risk, guys. This is Champions League next season. Champions League, Baleba in the Champions League against higher quality. Do you know what I mean? Absolutely. Absolutely, David. We do need squad depth. This is why I was looking at Lucien Agume and players like, obviously, Lamine Kamara and players like that who are good and would be good for the squad players as well. These players plus 200 million planned spending is the money coming from, in my opinion, Rashford, 26, Højlund. Now, Man United get 200 million, mate, already. Gregory, let me just correct you. Man United get 200 million revenue anyway. They're going to get 200 million to spend. The money that we earn from Rashford, from Sancho, and his wages being saved, and obviously the players that we sell will be on top of that 200 million. Don't feed into the Ineos Glinios narrative. Man United have a lot more than 200 million to spend. They get 100 million alone from the Champions League. So don't give me that. Don't give me that. Do not even mention that, because if Ineos see that, oh, the fans think that. This is why. You've got to get it right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look, you see this, guys. You see when people have been proven wrong. You know, this is what happens. This is what happens when people have been proven wrong. When they don't get their way, they throw up a hissy fit. They can't debate. They can't debate you. This is why they're sitting alone somewhere, you know, doing nothing with their lives, because they can't debate. They can't come to a constructive argument. They can't come to a conclusion. They can't come to a middle ground. I've basically said, fair play to you. You like Baleba. That's you. I'm not going to change my mind on that from what I see based on facts, right? If you don't like this channel, that's absolutely fine. Thousands do, mate. So at the end of the day, mate, if you can't conduct a proper discussion, get out of football. Get out of football. I've already admitted I've been wrong loads of times about players. I'm not wrong about Baleba. At the end of the day, I'm looking at performances. I'm looking at what he's doing, right? Geordie, I know you from Twitter. I know you, right? And I know who you are, right? So you come on here, you show respect, mate. You're not a child. You're throwing your rattles at your pram. It's a bit of an internet warrior sort of thing. You know what I mean? Because I can easily come in here and talk about you, you know, at the end of the day. And I can easily say nasty things, and I can easily say everything about it. But we're not going to do that. We're going to talk about a footballing level, my friend. Footballing level. We're going to keep it football because we're mature, guys. And I don't do the internet gangster shit, right? So what I would say, right, is that Carlos Baleba has been shit, right? That's a fact. He has not got one good thing happen this season. Nothing has been good about Carlos Baleba this season. I hope it does. If Man United sign him, I'll be supporting him to the hill and back, and I will happy hold up my hands and say, do you know what, Geordie boy, or Geordie hissy fit, I will happily hold my hand up and say, you're right, Geordie, you're right. But I guarantee you this, guys, I will be calling you up and I'll be telling you, where's these good performances? Where's this hunch you're talking about? What's going on? And stuff like that. Absolutely. Basically, this guy says I can go and watch. I could call you on T20 cricket if you want. I could do that as well, mate. I come from England. I support an English football club, mate. You know, I've been supporting Man United since the late 80s, mate. Long before you even knew what football was, mate. You know. So listen, mate. From Hearts of Oak to Tokyo FC, I know my football, mate. Do you know where Hearts of Oak are from? Yeah, well done. Alex, how many assists do you think Bruno will end up this season? A lot, mate. He'll break the record. Congratulations to Bruno. He'll be absolutely brilliant. Marcus, big up Marcus, my guy. How you doing? I hope you're doing well. Good to see you. I hope you're well. The thing is in life, guys, what you have to understand in life is that you're not always right. And I will be the first one to say, yeah, I was wrong about that. You know, I was wrong about him. I'll be the first one because I've been there before. I've been there before with loads of players. But I'm experienced, right? And many of this community are very experienced at players. And many of this community, apart from him, are experienced. And we know what is good for Manchester United. We know that Manchester United are signing Carlos Baleba because he's easy. We know we're signing. Look at Mark Goldbridge. Mark Goldbridge is talking exactly like me. Exactly like. There's a reason Mark Goldbridge has 2 million subscribers. He's talking exactly like me. We can't sign Baleba based on a hunch. People are like they get excited, like it's ridiculous, and they make themselves look like idiots. Do you think we should retain Maguire for another 2 years? No, 1 year maximum, Alex, in my opinion. Absolutely. Both, mate. Both. He reminds me a lot of Gareth Bale. That Bastoni red card came back to bite Italy in the arse. It did, Marcus. It was a stupid challenge, but what I would say is that Italy were robbed yesterday. The referee got it wrong. Bosnia should have had a red card as well, a similar incident. I actually felt that the Italian player on his right was covering him, and I didn't think it should have been a red card. I didn't, but the tackle was a tackle, and having looked at it back, I don't think it was a red card. I don't. But if you're going to give a red card for that, why didn't they give the red card for the Bosnian player? That's what I would say. That for me was even more of a red card. He was clean through, he was going to slot it into the back of the net, and they would have won the game. These things, this is the thing about football. These things cost teams dearly. Do you know what I mean? They cost teams dearly. They cost teams huge. You know, these things, you know, I would say at the end of the day. Absolutely. Yeah, bless his heart. Bless his heart. Bless his little cotton socks. Thank you. Wishing you a great day as well, Paul. Big up yourself. Guys, absolutely. Great. It's about discussion. It's about debate. People can't handle debate because they're little babies. They're little babies in their prams. They can't handle debate. They'll cry. You know what I mean? And then later on down the line, they'll come back on this channel and say, oh, so, you know, no, I'm not interested. Guys, I want to thank everyone for supporting the channel as usual. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Smash a like on the video. Guys, and don't forget to put your notifications on in case I go live elsewhere, of course, guys. It is all about that, of course. Thank you, everyone, for your support. I'm Sal. This is Breaking Dawn. Guys, have a fantastic day, because I will, guys. Absolutely. Take it easy, guys. Peace.